His death was officially ruled a drowning, but some say the pieces of the puzzle just don't fit together. Good evening. A Sedgwick County jailer is dead, and his family wonders why.
We begin tonight with a special report called Mystery at Milford Lake. Was Chuck Hastings murdered? Did he commit suicide? Or did he simply drown accidentally at Milford Lake in North Kansas earlier this summer? Tim Brown joins us now from the Sedgwick County Jail with more on that mystery. Tim?
Roger, the day before Hastings disappeared, he tried to take out a $1 million life insurance policy. He was turned down. Now, his friends say he did this because he feared for his life. Some say he was planning suicide. It's up to you to decide. The day Chuck Hastings disappeared was supposed to be a quiet day at the lake. Hastings went to Milford Lake to work on his houseboat. It was the last time he was seen alive. Hastings' body was found a few days later. The cause of death has been ruled as drowning by the medical examiner. The medical examiner's ruling leaves Hastings' family with a lot of questions.
Whenever I saw him in the water, he always had a life vest just floating. You know, he really didn't like to go in the water that much.
He stressed that on everybody whenever we took that boat out. Everybody has to have a life jacket on. I mean, he stressed that so many times. He was always so safety conscious about everybody.
Now Hastings' kids are looking for answers to other questions about their father's death. Answers they say they haven't gotten from authorities. Chuck Hastings was a Sedgwick County Sheriff's jailer. He worked at the jail. His family thinks Chuck was onto some kind of scheme and was getting ready to expose someone who had connections to jail workers and inmates. Fellow jail workers had heard the same thing. Deputy Keith Lyon remembers the last time he saw Chuck alive.
Well, Chuck left work early that day, and as he left, he told me that he'd been followed by a blue car. It wasn't the first time he told me that, but it was the last time he told me that.
Other friends of Hastings had heard that he was secretly audiotaping alleged illegal activities at the jail. Only one tape has ever been found.
And when the boat was found in the cove, it had been ransacked. It was a total disaster, a total mess.
There are also several other clues at the boat that could point to foul play, including a bullet hole from a gun that was fired at floor level.
It goes through here, and then the bullet comes through the paneling up here and goes out through the ceiling. They said these drawers were all open like this. You know, somehow, I guess, to this, whatever, and there were, the cushions were all like this or whatever, and these are little storage compartments that my dad uses, and these were kind of up like that a little bit on both sides.
And ropes used to dock the boat had been tampered with.
This rope was cut, and this rope right here is cut, and they never cut the ropes from the back of the boat. Because when you go on other land and you have to make a dock or whatever, you need to throw those ropes onto the land so you have something to tie him to.
The marina owners were well acquainted with Chuck and his routine. Karen Kaufman talked with Hastings the day he disappeared.
He was talking about there were some troubles down there at the sheriff's department, and you know, he just needed to get away, and then, you know, he told us about that, and then he just changed the subject and said, but I'm getting married Saturday. He said, I'm really excited about that.
Kaufman saw Hastings' boat go by later that evening. This was also unusual because Hastings rarely took the boat out by himself.
He would leave it under power as he went out of here, and he would step out on the front and wave and say, you know, I'm going out. If I'm not back by a certain time, come looking for me. You know, and so it was very unusual and everything was always open. Doors was open, windows was open, and everything. There was nothing. The curtains was pulled. You couldn't see even who was driving the boat, which we thought was kind of funny.
Everything is just not adding up on the whole thing.
Lyle Lutke keeps the boat next to Chuck's. He says he thinks his good friend was murdered because he knew too much.
I think so. I mean, this is me. This is my feeling. The reason I think so, the rope being cut, the curtains being pulled, all but this one back of me just opened just about 6 to 8 inches. I think somebody had something to do with it.
Chuck's boat was later found in a cove. His body was discovered several days after that.
Some fishermen friends of ours had not thought anything about it that night, but when they heard the broadcast and stuff, they called us the following day and said that they had seen this white pickup truck down on that old road, and the only reason they had noticed was because they thought it was funny that anybody was down on that old road. So it was right there next to the houseboat.
Did someone force Chuck to drive at gunpoint to the cove where a struggle took place and one shot was fired from the deck? And did that person get away with the tapes? Why didn't the person in the pickup report the houseboat up against the shore? Or was that the getaway car for the killers? And what might have been on those tapes that could have been so damaging?
Before Chuck's disappearance, it had been common knowledge at the jail that a number of deputies were taking bribes. They were receiving money from bondsmen to send bonds to these certain bondsmen.
One deputy came forward to talk to Eyewitness News. He told us the bribes were no secret and that Chuck had been recording information to stop the alleged corruption.
I'd heard them brag to each other about it.
What would they say?
Just that they could afford to buy a new car now or put an addition onto their house or take a vacation.
The mystery surrounding Hastings' death remains. His family and friends have no comfort in that, but they do have some comfort in their memories of Chuck.
Now, we spoke with Sheriff Mike Hill about the allegations involving the jail. He would say only, quote, 2 months ago it came to our attention there were possible violations regarding bonding. We are in the final stages of our administrative inquiry and criminal inquiry into the matter, end quote. And Cindy and Roger, I do know that there are several agencies that are investigating this right now, including the KBI, of course, the Sheriff's Department, and several private investigators working for both the family and the insurance company. We will follow this and keep you up to date on the story as it progresses.
All right, thank you, Tim.